Welcome back to In the Side of the Storm, where we talk all things Cyclones. We are live and sponsored by Revelton Distillery out of Osceola, Iowa. I'm Dave Larson here with my Storm team partners and Cyclone greats, Marcus Pfizer and Brent Curvey. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing
Vertical.
well. How about you, Dave?
Well, vertical as well. Brent, I see you're back from playing for the North Carolina State program in the Final Four.
Man. You know, I had to take a couple weeks off, you know what I'm saying, and take our team as deep as we could, you know, did all I could to help us get a dub and take it to the championship game, but came up a little short.
You look strong against Zach Edey, but that Purdue team just was a little bit overpowering for you.
That's it, man.
So for those of you who have not seen, we made fun of Brent 2 weeks ago now for playing in the Sweet 16. And what's his name? Burns? Frank Burns. Frank Burns is on
DJ Burns. I'm a big fan of that fella, man. Big fan.
Like big fellas that can move.
Mm-hmm.
He's fun to watch. Before we get started too far, big game this week or tomorrow night. We've got Purdue taking on UConn. Been really impressed with UConn, although they had a bit of a tougher game yesterday than what I was anticipating. But any predictions for the Purdue-UConn game tomorrow night?
I think UConn is going to pull it out. I've been saying it all year. You know, the way they played last year and won it, came back at the beginning of this year, started solid. You know, there wasn't a team that started off strong and then fell off or started slow and then, started gaining momentum. They've been pretty much even killing all the way through. And I think the big fellas, Klinigan, how you pronounce that? Klinigan is going to match up really well with Edey. I think he's a little bit more versatile, can shoot it a little bit deeper, and they're both heavy bigs that's going to be banging up against each other. And no Diddy, but it's going to be a good game.
Man. Oh, no, Dave. It's all good, Dave. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
So hey, I'm excited for the game.
Yeah, man. I'm right there with Marcus, man. I think UConn, they find a way to get the dub, man. Just watching the guys in the tournament and just kind of peeking at them throughout the year, I feel the same, man. It was never a surprise where they were at any point throughout the tournament. So they've been winning fairly handily. So I think this is another notch on their belt, man. Run it back
to back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the key is you're right. The big guy for UConn is much more athletic than Zach Edey is for Purdue, and I think that's one thing that if you could push Edey away from the basket and keep him out, he's not comfortable when he's 10 feet away from the basket.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and I think if UConn could do that, they're going to see some success tomorrow night.
Well, I don't think it should be much of a problem for them. Like I said, one is 7-2, one is 7-3. That's going to be pretty much what's going to cancel each other out. I'm sure there's going to be times where our forward switches off on the big, to give each other, that whole to get back in time, rest, point ahead type thing. So it's going to be a great game of schematics, but I just think UConn is the better team, top to bottom, and so if you have those two that's going to be canceling each other out, or even those two have a good game, it comes down to what the other players are going to do, not just the stars.
Mm-hmm. That bench is huge, man. We saw it in the women's game.
Yeah,
that bench is huge. Got to have some points coming off the bench, man, to help you guys out. Keep the momentum flowing in the right direction.
Yeah, and his bodies. If if the starters get tired, when you have a team that's those kind of teams defensively are hard to match up against, because when the next group, the players coming off the bench are just as good as the starters, you really don't, that's that tough decision who starts. And then a lot of times, like I can name a couple of NBA guys who didn't even start on their collegiate team and went lottery. So it's just a scheme of what they put together for the team, and to be able to have success and win. And you never know what you're going to get in the college game.
Yep.
So we did not get our chance to face UConn in what was a potential Elite Eight matchup game. We ended up losing to Illinois in the Sweet 16, 72-69. Boy, it seems like it's been forever ago, but that was a little bit of a tough game. Any thoughts on that game against the Fighting Illini?
Well, I didn't know what to expect going in. I knew it was going to be a tough game in terms of as tough as a team that Illinois was. I figured we would match up a little bit better than what we did. Once the game began, it was like one of those things. Like, as a player, you've been, and I'm sure Brent can say the same, that you've been in games where it didn't matter. Against Drake, my last year against Drake, like, we're better than this team. No disrespect, we know we're better than this team, but certain things happen during the game where you feel like, damn, we're not going to pull this out, no matter what happens, what goes on. I don't care if somebody makes a shot at the buzzer. You have those type games when you feel that way. And so at the edge of my seat, watching the game, watching it, it just felt like, okay, we can make a run, we can make these stops, but it just felt like something was out of whack. And like I said, as a player, you feel like the basketball gods is just not going to come to save you at that moment, and that's what happened. And then the next game, they went out, looked like they're a NAIA team, like couldn't score the ball worth of crap, and it's like, God, like,
where was this team at?
Right, who was that? We're at a day before, a day and a half before. So that's how I felt about that. Very disappointing.
We probably would have hit the same buzzsaw though had we run up to UConn in the next round. But it didn't seem like we had any control at all throughout that game, and I didn't think we ever had an answer for was it Shannon, whatever
Shannon Jr.
Yeah, he was just he could do what he wanted to, and such a highlight for him. So it just didn't seem like we were there, and it's like, once you get dejected, you see everybody else. It just starts to kind of flow through the team. It's like, well, this is it, fellas. I got nothing left.
What time was the game? Wasn't it late?
Like a 9:30.
It was. It was a late game.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So it's one of those games that will throw you completely off. I don't care what nobody say. Like, when you're used to playing at 6:37, 7:30, and you get into those tournaments, and because your whole body is thinking totally different. Right. I've had a couple of pro games where, in the NBA, we got a 1 o'clock game against a top team in the league, and my rookie year, we were terrible, but we happened to find a way to win that game because maybe their bodies was acclimated to a later game, or they're on the road and they've been traveling, so it throws the whole aspect off your nap time, the time that you're going to eat. Like, if you have that regimen to eat, shoot around, eat, take a nap, and then you wake up and now you still got 3 or 4 hours before you play. That's one of those games is like, man, this one right here just doesn't feel right. And that's how it happens. And it could happen for both teams, but if it happens for your team and you're the loser, then it's like, damn. We bought the
watching that game, it just felt like the writing was on the wall for me in the first half when we just very poor defensive rebounding throughout that first half in particular. It just seemed like every time Illinois shot and missed, they got their own rebound. And
that's not us, right?
Yeah, we have to box somebody out and go get that ball and be more aggressive at the end of the day. And that just seemed to be what happened throughout the game. We just didn't get that extra shot in. We didn't get that rebound. We made the bad turnover. It happened all night long. Yet, for the most part, we were still in the game. And we did not play well at all.
Right. And that's the scary thing about it. And it's that, tease of being so close, still being in the game. But it's just, I've seen a couple of balls that, Big Rob energy, like, it hit his hand and bounced off. He was like, that doesn't, It doesn't seem right. That's not him, you know. But again, the game is at 10 o'clock. Maybe his mental clock and biological clock should be in the bed right now, preparing for the next day or something like that. But not to make any excuses, it was, a hell of a season without a doubt. To go through the Big 12, to play extremely well, to get into the tournament and have some great showings, some great games. I don't particularly like dominated games. I like games that are competitive, but you control. The back and forth games and all of those different things. Like as an ex-player and now as a coach, and you see, every team is going to make a run, especially in college basketball. I was jumped out against the game today, and it was 10-0, 12-0.
10-0.
But you slow it down because you understand, the excitement of the game. You got a player like Caitlin Clark that's going to shoot it from wherever. She's going to make those type shots. So you can't let that get you down. You got to understand that, different possessions, time to score, and just, stick to your game plan. And for us, that game, it just didn't seem right.
Yep.
So that concludes the end of this season already. We've seen a lot of activity in the transfer portal. Omaha Blue has elected to enter the portal, as well as Jackson Pawelecki, Jelani Hamilton, and Caden Fish. Probably the most surprising out of that, and we've had some discussions. We weren't quite certain what Omaha was going to do. But I'd love to see him with the team next year, to give him a summer with the entirety of the team. I know he spent a lot of last summer with other activities and USA basketball, and did not seem to integrate himself well into the team. I wish he had this summer to see what he could do before, and then elect to transfer if that's what he really wanted to do. Any surprises out of that group of the four who've hit the portal?
I mean, no. I mean, I don't. Not the other guys, I guess, for Omaha. I mean, for me, you look at a kid that's a top player in the nation and he doesn't really get a lot of playing time. I mean, that does wonders for your ego, right? That's going to make you immediately feel way less better than what you are, just because of what you're accustomed to getting. You're getting a chance to go out and showcase what you can do. And then all of a sudden, all of that's cut down. You know what I mean? So I'm sure it was a bunch of mental hurdles for the kid to kind of jump over, and then you got everybody else in his ear, like, man, you're better than this. Why are you riding the bench? You can go somewhere else and play right now. So kind of expected that one to happen, because I mean, he's a very athletic, talented kid.
So does this say more about Omaha, or does it say more about the men's basketball program?
I don't know. I got my opinions a couple different ways. I think just like with any team, a lot of our teams have guys, specific pieces that we kind of look for to use, right? So some guys will piece together a team. Some people might not fit that. And then, they tend to become outliers, and maybe you'll get a chance to shine, but it just might not be the program for him to do it in, unfortunately. Just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I pretty much second that. It's kind of hard with not being in the locker room and not being in practices and things like that. You really can't pinpoint what went on. There's a number of things that I can speculate. But it's very unfortunate. Being a rookie or being a freshman coming in with all those accolades, I can speak from the exact same situation. The first McDonald All-American, he was the second, and that's the pressures for him now are way more than it was for me, because you have social media. Right. Everything is rampant. It runs fast. It goes from point A to point Z in a millisecond. So it's a lot harder for me, I guess. Getting my butt kicked by, like I said before, Clay Edwards and Tony Rampton, Paul Shirley. I remember Brad Johnson, even my freshman year, was really, really tough and helped with a lot of different things that I was going through. I guess I was able to hide because we didn't have social media, so get in the weight room, get beat up by the coaching staff, get beat up by the veterans, and wanting to get better. There was a lot of times that Stevie Johnson as strong as he was, and me coming out of high school, really, put me in my place, and I'm thankful for that. Now these kids can get into that same exact settings, and when they run into that adversity, it's to the social media to get the coddling maybe and the pats on the backs and you remember this and when you remember that instead of what you need to do. You got to look deep down inside and understand that this is a grown man's world now. You are an adult and you have to adjust to things accordingly. And whether if he didn't do that or if the coaching staff wasn't receptive to the things that he needed, player development, all of that, we really can't tell. But it's definitely unfortunate to see a guy come in with the talent and accolades that he have and not be able to show us what he can do. To go to another school, there's no telling what could happen. He could blow up, have a phenomenal career, which we wish him the best. I mean, don't wish no ill will against any of the kids that's participating in collegiate sports right now, anything like that. But at the same time, we wish that we had that opportunity to progress him on and have great games with him. So it's sad to see.
Yeah, from all accounts, he was a good kid just on the court, and it didn't work out. We wish him the best. Certainly would love to see him. Who knows? Maybe he transfers and ends up coming back, or maybe he hits the portal and decides, you know what, got a pretty good gig here with the Cyclones. I don't know if anyone saw, but the Sporting News today tweeted something about their way too early top 25, and guess who's showing up as the number 2 team in their way too early top 25.
I would assume us.
You're absolutely correct.
What is way too early top? Are they saying like it's way too early to say that they're that good, or they're predicting, or just saying like it's super early, but we're gonna say anyways?
It's super early, and they're taking into account last season.
Fine with that.
The current,
I'm fine with that.
The current portal situation and what's going on in there, and how everybody landed. So Alabama, I believe, was picked number 1. I would say 2, and I want to say Duke. Duke might have been 3rd. So I mean, that's some high credit to TJ and the Iowa State men's program to be listed, to be even considered top 25, much less the number 2 team.
Right. Coach Nate Oates down in Alabama, and Coach John Shire at Duke. Those along with Coach Oates. There's some very key to detail coaches that make you be accountable on defense, and that's the thing that the games start with. It doesn't matter how dynamic of a score that you have. You can have a situation where that player is not on, and they're missing, or an injury could occur. You still got to guard and stop some people, and that's high praise. So hopefully it's not a situation where it's gonna go to our head and we don't start off well. We definitely don't need that, but we know he's gonna have the guys ready to play.
Absolutely.
And I know both of you two love the big guys, and so we've had 3 recent transfers coming into the program. We've got today it was announced 6'10" Branton Chatfield from the University of Seattle, by way of one time he played at Washington State with Jazz Coons, is coming in next year. And then 6'11" Deshaun Jackson, not the football player, but the basketball player, transferring from Charlotte. He too played at Washington State for a while, had sat out due to some health issues that apparently we'll learn a little bit more about as we get closer to the basketball season. So we got some size coming in that really those two will probably make a big difference down low. And sounds like Jackson can dribble, he can shoot, he's solid at the free throw line. I'm excited to see him in the Cyclone uniform.
Yeah, that'd be nice, man.
And we also got the third person that I neglected to mention was Nate Heisey from UNI, transferred in. I think he was one of the top scorers for the Panthers this year. So we'll get to see him at this next level. Boy, sounds like a great rotation by the time that you add in some of the guys that they've already got there, and add some athleticism, some size. Of course, that defense is always going to be stellar. You've got to be if you're going to play for TJ. Should shape it up to be a good season already, and you can see why Sporting News has picked the Cyclones as the number 2 team in their way too early top 25.
Yeah, they know it's way too early because a thousand players will hit that portal in the next 3 or 4 days, so you never know what's going to happen. But that's great, to get that recognition. Well, we're excited to see, how the new guys are going to come in and gel in with the previous guys that was here, and maybe we can make it a little bit farther than we made this year.
One of the other guys that's looking at Iowa State too is Curtis Jones's cousin, who has Iowa State on his short list, and I believe we're in a dead period right now, so we may not hear anything about that for another week or so. I believe that he's looking to come in for a visit to Ames and visit the coaching staff. I think that right now they're limited to some phone calls, and I don't know if that includes Zoom calls or not. But Brent, you may know more on that on the football side of how some of that works with recruiting during these dead periods.
It's been kind of I know now, I guess once kids hit junior year, I believe there's no other, they can pretty much call the kids straight up. So it's if they can't talk to them, they'll make you call them or something like that. But I know,
find a way.
Yeah, 1000%. Because I know with my son, they were scheduling calls like, hey, well, let's just lock us down for Tuesday nights at whatever time. I'll be free after meetings at such and such. So he would always call, and then they could, take the call. But I know on dead periods they won't. I know they can't come visit. I don't know in terms of them reaching out. I think they can say something to them on social media or something, but they can't physically call them or something crazy.
All right, before we hit hear a word from our sponsor, one last item: women's basketball. I don't know if any of you watched the game, but they lost a heartbreaker to number 2 Stanford in Palo Alto in overtime. Boy, it was a heck of a game. Emily Ryan just went off from a scoring perspective and left it all out there. The entire team played exceptionally well. Ended up losing in a heartbreaker, but boy, what a finish for a team that was just loaded with freshmen this year. We are losing 3 players currently, either transfer or graduation, but shaping up to be another good season next year. I saw that one of the freshmen that's coming in from Johnson High School won the 3-point shooting contest that was held this weekend. So we got some shooters coming in that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Audi down low, and will help that women's team may end up being a top 10 team next year too.
See, why not?
Yeah, that game was dynamic without a doubt. Another one that had me at the edge of my seat. A couple of questionable calls, as we always get in those type games. But being, in California playing Stanford, it's kind of a reminder of, being in Michigan playing, or being in Detroit playing Michigan State. But it happens every once in a while. But our women played extremely well. It was a hard fought game. It was exciting to watch. Definitely wanted to win it at the end, but unfortunately we didn't. But that's definitely a learning lesson to get better at different things next year. I think Audie had a great season for a freshman, and it has taught her a lot. And I think going into this summer, getting ready for the fall, and what she's learned over this past year, the improvements top to bottom that she needs to make, and she personally knows what those are. It's going to make it so much easier for her coming in the next year. Like I said, my freshman year, I thought I was going to come in and just dominate everything. And before I even got to the Big 12, it was a rude awakening. Once we got into the Big 12, I started to figure some things out, but it was still some veterans, some older guys that was there. Paul Pierce, Rafe LaFrance. I remember Kelly Thames down in Missouri. Those type players. Albert White that showed me that this is a different kind of ball game.
Mm-hmm.
I was glad to see those guys move on after my freshman year. And now sophomore year is some things about to change. But those are the things that you learn from the upperclassmen. We're going to continue to say, the guys that came in that were older. You just it doesn't matter if you're better than them talented wise. They're the vets that know how to do different things. Like, damn, I hadn't figured that out yet. Then once you get that nugget, and they've moved on, now you're able to use that for the rest of your career. So I'm extremely excited. I've tweeted. I've not necessarily say I've joked about it, but I'm really considering coming back this summer. To see if Coach will let me work with her. A couple of different things, cover different pointers and to give her, about how to play or how to be a big. Little different angles and stuff like that. I'll be excited to do that, but we'll see what happens.
There's been a lot of talk that during the March Madness about the fact that some of these teams are older, and that's why they're competing and having more success than some of the younger teams. And Brent, I know with especially on football, I mean, there is a big difference between a college senior offensive lineman versus a freshman defensive lineman.
Absolutely.
And vice versa.
Yep.
Relate for those of us that did not play at that next level, what those differences are when you are a freshman going up against a senior. Because for the longest time it was, hey, the Calipari's of the world, we're going to just bring in 10 freshmen and play them in waves, and we're just going with these great athletes, and he did, right? Calipari saw some success. But this year in particular, it seems like that has shifted quite a bit, where it's those older teams that have been around for a while that have spent more time in the weight room that are seeing some success. Can you talk to that?
Just like what Marcus just said, man, it's the nuances that young guys don't know yet. So, if you've been there, you tend to pick up tricks of the trade in that particular position because you've probably seen me or somebody like me since you've been playing so many games, right? So, the speed of the game is so different. So to be able to, for an older guy, they can slow it down. They're like, well, I know this young cat won't know this, so I just got to cut him off here. Or it's small things like Marcus just said, I'd love to work with Audie on angles. And it is the smallest of details that make the biggest difference. But a lot of people won't understand that when you're first coming in, because you were dominant at your younger age. You could do things so well, but then now you're up here, everybody else's game is elevated. So there aren't just the one-offs on each team there. Everybody is just as good as you, if not better. So it's just one of those things, man, like, just like earning a black belt. It takes time and repetition. So
good point,
at the end of the day, it's, I'm personally trying to get my son up to school earlier so that he can get the 15 practices in spring ball. As I said, going into trying to learn a brand new playbook when you first get there in the fall, and then being a college student and learning, classes and all of these things, it's better to go in a little earlier so that the speed of the game is easier for you to grasp. You won't be, you won't be behind. You're going to deal with the seniors, you're going to deal with that, but pick those guys' brains because they can give you little nuggets, and then that just, fuels you, man. So it's all the repetition. It's the time in the sport, time on task, and, those older guys, they got it, and then they can pick you apart in just a couple of steps. But the young, smart ones will pick the older guys' heads and tend to be that much better. Really, really, really close after.
Yeah, and for like the times where Coach Calipari and all those schools were putting together freshmen, dynamic McDonald All-Americans and freshmen, it's a little different now because of the transfer portal. When you've had some upperclassmen that were playing in a place and they couldn't transfer, or if they transferred, they had to sit out the year. Now they can they can transfer and be immediately eligible. And now that, you got, 4 or 5 top scorers or 2 or 3 top defensive players that were at St. Bonaventure or Boston College or, San Jose State. Now all 3 of them transferred to Iowa State with some guys that we had on the team before that were, all Big 12 players, and you put them together and you roll those 5 freshmen out there. Now it's about to be barbecue chicken. So we're gonna
barbecue chicken.
The transfer portal has helped that a lot. change the dynamic of that. As you can see, these Kentucky teams that are rolling out now, they're not, being as successful as they once were because of that fact.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brent said, just little. I remember watching football games, one of our football games during the year, and the guy was running. Maybe Rocco was running and something like that, and he cut down and filmed. My wife was like, well, why didn't he keep running? He had all that space, and I was like, those big fellas coming off that defensive end is faster than what you think. Like they gonna catch him real fast, and then when they catch him, the impact and the slam to the ground, I might as well get to this ground right now because he's maybe he's was a younger player freshman year. Now he got to play sophomore year, and maybe his freshman year he probably would have tried to outrun them. That next year he's figured it out, and then the vet that's chasing him fella, you better get down. So it's those little nuances that you don't understand and that you don't get. Going 100 miles per hour, posting Clay Edwards up and trying to go into his test. And I'm not gonna lie, coming into college, I think I was 198, maybe 200 pounds, a little bit over 200 pounds. I was really skinny. Clay was about 245. I mean, just just ripped up and trying to post him up and hit him in the chest and Clay was just catching it in there and just blocking it. And I was like, what in the hell is going on? And then I tried to beat him off the dribble, and Tony Rampton was 7'1", and then Paul Shirley 6'11", and they just blocking my shot. And I was like, no, we got to get in this weight room. Something got to change.
Well, Clay was farm strong, right? I mean, he was a farm kid.
He was in the weight room too. So I had to get in behind those guys and figure out what they were doing to be that strong and change the dynamic of my game. And I give them all the credit in the world to understanding that they taught me a lot of nuggets, a lot of jewels to be able to be successful. And then to put together my talent and strength, the rest was history. But coming in as a freshman, you're not gonna let as an upperclassman, you're not gonna let a freshman come in and just take over it immediately. I mean, even if they're better than you, you're gonna show them some different things that they don't know and don't understand, and the rest is history.
All right, let's turn the corner. We want to talk a little bit about football. We've got some UFL news. We have some April Fool's news, maybe, regarding the football team. So let's hear a quick word from Revelton Distillery.
Why take the best corn in the world and make it into fuel when you could make it into whiskey? That's the question that launched Revelton, Iowa's most visible and fastest growing distillery. Owners Rob and Christy Taylor embrace the grain-to-glass philosophy, sourcing ingredients locally and overseeing on-premises production and bottling at their facility in Osceola. One sip and you'll agree that Revelton's handcrafted whiskeys, gins, and vodkas are the best you've ever tasted. And with the launch of their rye whiskey, made with 100% Iowa-grown rye and corn, and their new bourbon coming soon, there's more Revelton to love than ever. Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
All right, we're back, and thank you to Rob and Christy Taylor with Revelton. We may have some new fans that have not been down to Osceola to check them out. They're also throughout the shelves and liquor stores and Hy-Vee stores, so feel free to stop in and grab your Revelton today. I don't know, are you guys watching this WrestleMania that's going on, a 2-night event? Okay, I won't say anything further. So our UFL, the United Football League, the new spring league, the merger between the XFL and USFL kicked off Easter weekend. We've got some Cyclones that are playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks, Mike Rose, Willie Harvey, and Hakeem Butler. Are you guys paying any attention to the UFL now that the spring league has kicked off?
I hadn't, but I'm very interested in it without a doubt. I mean, the big football fan I am. So whatever gives the guys the opportunity to, make money and, possibly level up. I just hadn't heard much about it at all.
Yeah, I just haven't I've been too caught up with the attorney and all of that stuff. I didn't know exactly when the season kicked off. I've been seeing some highlights here and there, and I've been seeing Willie Harvey post some stuff, and I think I saw Mike Rose make an interception or something like that. So I always catch something on social media, because I follow the teams that the guys play for, at least, just so I can at least see if what's going on that way.
And of course, Rocco Beck's dad is the coach for the Battle Hawks, so I think we've got some allegiance with the 3 Cyclones and coaching for them. When we last talked, Brock Purdy has also gotten married, and he has a new gig, if you haven't heard, but he's now the new he signed an endorsement deal with Pioneer Seeds. So all of the jokes about calling him Corn Jesus, he can carry that on.
That's it. Nothing wrong with that, man. That's what it's about.
Hey, cut the check.
That is it. Cut
Chris,
the check.
Chris, do you have that queued up to show? We'll see.
This is a commercial about calling him Corn Jesus?
Chris may be going to get his Revelton, and we may not have it. So here we go.
Just any field. It's a field ready to challenge you to beat your best yet using the #1 corn seed on the market. I've had the chance to harvest some Pioneer corn on my in-laws farm firsthand last fall, and I'm excited about our brands teaming up. Let's go dominate the field this year. And remember, what's next happens here.
Hey, not mad at him.
Yeah.
Get at it, young fella.
Yeah.
It's been a really good spring for Brock. So he's now the pitchman for Pioneer. He got married, and then based upon his he had some things kick in for his salary last year that brought in performance bonuses of almost $800,000. So it's been a good spring.
So that's chump change to what he's looking at.
Yeah.
Well,
they say this got to be the last year of that deal. We're about to restructure, baby. This is it.
I think he's got 2 years, Brent. But by the time that he signs that new deal, that could be a $40 million a year contract.
Yeah. Kid just got to stay healthy, man. It's over with.
Stay healthy. Blessings for sure. Get us one of these chips up there in San Francisco.
That's it.
Or maybe somewhere else. We never know.
Well, we talked about the $40 million, but if he ends up bringing home a championship, you're right. I mean, I think that number goes up even more.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it.
But you can imagine $800,000 in performance bonuses. Wow.
Slim chickens, man. It happens. Guys was getting end of the year. They were a sack away from $800,000, or that one sack gave them another $500,000 or something. So these NFL teams are smart, and so are the agents that help curate these contracts. They know it's baked something in here that's achievable, but you have to work for it. So you still reward the ones that go after it every day.
Yeah.
And then also other news. This is going to probably be a big deal, or maybe a big deal come fall. But did you see the teaser that the athletics department or the Cyclone football Twitter put out regarding uniforms?
All white ones? Oh no.
So this was put out, and there were 3 photos that were 4 photos.
Oh, the black one.
Yeah, there was a red, a white, and a black, and then there was one that was blank.
Gray, maybe?
This came out on April 1st that all of a sudden Twitter went nuts on, because is it a joke because it's April 1st, or are we serious? Are we looking at some new uniforms?
I would like to see that, like that neutral gray with the white and gold on it.
I don't think we go to that. Looks like Chiefs. That's like Chiefs colors, man. I don't know.
I like it.
Well, not the colors, but the whole
now these
design.
were mock-ups that I think someone on Twitter had created that would be reflective of what we saw in the teaser. I really like that. I think that red looks sharp.
Yeah, I like it. I don't see it being a real thing.
Oh, not
who knows?
Okay, so
talk about the Navy.
That's the tertiary blue that everyone hates.
The tertiary blue.
Yeah.
So, but the red one sort of takes me back to late 80s, early 90s. And then I've also seen a lot of the script Cyclones. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to have some special games or if it's going to be a complete redesign of our uniforms and incorporating the script cyclones across the side of the helmet like they had back in the 80s.
Mm.
They should put up a generator where the fans can make their own.
No, we talked about. Remember what Brent?
I do like the white and black one though.
Marcus, remember when they went to the iState logo and they had different variations of the helmet and they had fans choose? I think the fans ended up choosing the white helmet, and of course we didn't see that for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that if they would do anything with the fans or not. Now that's the Seneca version.
I'm cool. I don't like the eyes around the neck. I never really liked those jerseys.
Is that your era?
It was the year before me.
Okay.
So when I came up on my visit, that was the jersey they were wearing.
I had some pretty bad jerseys. My freshman year jerseys were bought at High V or somewhere.
Are you still complaining about the yellow ones?
I don't mind it. I just don't like bad jerseys that stick to your skin. I mean, a better quality, some type of dry fit type thing, whatever. I just don't like. Well, I've never had an NFL jersey, but I would assume it's the same, like as the NBA. Like the NBA jerseys are heavy. They're a lot, like they're heavier than collegiate jerseys. I don't know if it has to do with the moisture wicking or whatever, but even the numbers are sewn on. They're not just like iron on or like stickers or whatever. They're sewn on. So even those gives it a little weight. But my freshman year, man, they were terrible. They were terrible.
Yeah, they are a little bit heavier up there. I know for us, we had I was like, Marcus, I needed everything taped to my pads.
Well,
was that your freshman year?
No, that's either my sophomore or junior year. Maybe my sophomore year.
Yeah, that looks like freshman or sophomore.
No, I could tell by the jersey. We didn't have those jerseys. That's a Eustace jersey.
The internet doesn't go that far back, Marcus.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. But yeah, that's a Eustace jersey for sure.
I thought that year, your sophomore or your junior year had more gold incorporated as a part of the red.
Yeah, so my junior year, we got totally different set than sophomore year. So it progressively got better, a whole lot better. We were with Adidas, the Coach Eustace, and so after we had a solid season, or I had a pretty good season scoring the ball or whatever, led in the Big 12 in scoring. We were, projected to be one of the better teams the next year, my junior year, and then they started flooding us with a lot more gear, shoes, different things like that. I mean, we got a ton of shoes. I played in the pro model, the old school pro model, shell toes, was good enough for me. They were really, really good supportive. So, but I mean, all the other guys, got tons of stuff, shoes, running shoes, track suits, and all of that. So I know our junior year, the jerseys were better than sophomore year, and all of them combined was better than freshman.
And you ought to give those back, right?
I have no idea what they did with them. Those are one of those situations where, not in a braggadocious type way, that being a star player that what happened to this jersey? What happened to that jersey?
Yeah.
And you never see them anymore. So
no,
well, because they used to have those big athletic department sales at the end of I remember going up to a couple of those.
Yeah,
and I would sit there and think, these are great jerseys. Why wouldn't if I'm Brent, I want to keep my jersey. I want to.
Right. Now, see,
maybe
those
you don't.
are trash.
Brent, would you have wanted to keep your jerseys or no?
I got mine.
I didn't.
I got a couple.
I didn't get to get mine.
I got 3 of mine. For us, we'd always get them because it was constantly tearing or ripping and all of that stuff. So if they didn't auction it off at whatever event, then you would end up getting one year at the end of the year.
Nah, it's just one of those things for me. Like, hey, my daughter's choking. One of those things for me. Like, I don't even ever remember And I joked about it before, but my high school Letterman jacket never got my high school Letterman jacket. I had to call and get my collegiate Letterman jacket after I left for the pros for that. But a lot of stuff I just, never. It's like, you plan season, go on further and all that. You're just really, really not thinking about, you end up losing when you didn't, want to lose. So I'm depressed and going through that cycle. I really wasn't thinking about jerseys, but equipment managers, we had Gator. Gator was either giving you stuff or Gator was either doing some stuff with the thing. So you just never know. Once I got drafted to the Bulls, though, the equipment manager for the Bulls, he took me into this little closet in the United Center, had about 4 or 5 padlocks on it. And so me being a curious rookie, running out, and it was a closet right before you ran out to the floor. And so I came in and I asked him, I said, because that's you got it locked up like Fort Knox. There's something going on in there. Padlocks on the outside. And so I asked him, I said, what is in that closet? And man, he took me in that closet and there was so many jerseys and shoes and socks from the championship years. Now this guy had 3 or 4 Harleys. He was equipment manager for the Bulls. So you put that together.
Yeah,
he had some stuff in. I mean, I pulled out stuff and I was like, man, just let it. He was like, ain't no way in hell you're going to and lock it up and put these locks back on there. And, he said, no, he said, you're probably the first one that has ever asked. I was like, man, I'm from Detroit. When you see some suspicious, you never know what's going on in that closet. So, I mean, there's just one of the things that you see and, understand if you have the opportunity, you have possession of that. What are the chances you think Michael Jordan started the game and ended the game in the same jersey? Oh yeah, especially during those championship years and during the playoffs. Oh, come on now! Oh, that was playing orchestrated. He had like the tape with the pre-wrap and stuff cut off his ankles, still in there. That type stuff, So I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, you hear stories about like Jerry Rice when he was playing, how meticulous he was in his appearance. And you hear stories of him coming back out in the second half with a different shirt or a different jersey or something because he had a certain look that he wanted to continue to maintain. So I would have to believe that Michael is doing the same thing.
Oh, ain't no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm sure they were forcing, hey, here, go ahead, Let me get that wet one off of you. Get that jersey
right now.
Put a dry one on. We get this one washed up. Man, come on. I bet those jerseys never hit. Never seen the inside.
Never saw daylight. Never seen daylight
Marcus,
again.
you're in there and you didn't get one.
Not one.
You didn't take one item. Nothing.
Not one thing. He wouldn't allow me to. And so when I thought about, like I said, the next day at practice and he pulled up on a different Harley Davidson, I was like, okay, now I get it. Like these are,
they funding these Harley dreams. I get it.
You've been here for a minute. I can't knock the hustle at all, but I definitely tried.
And to this day, he's probably the only one with keys to that one room.
Probably, I think he has retired, but I guarantee he probably cleaned that room out beforehand.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
So we will have to look forward. The spring game, if you don't recall, is April 20th. So we're 2 weeks away from that. Maybe we'll see some release between now and then with football jerseys or something like that. Otherwise, we'll just have to wait until the fall, and we'll see what the football team comes strutting out for the first home game at Jack Trice Stadium for the season. And upcoming, I think this is probably puts a cap on our season of this show. We'll see what the next month or so comes out. We've got some potential guests in the hopper that we may have some special episodes that come out. Can't say who those individuals are just yet, but we're working on those actively. Otherwise, we may put a little pin in it and delay and start up a new season coming up, which that gives Chris a little bit of extra time to redo the opening now that we've had an additional Sweet 16 by the men and Big 12 championship by the men as well for basketball. So anything to close out this season for you, Marcus or Brent?
Nah, man, it's been fun. I'm back from my tourney run. Hopefully I won't have to make another one next year, but we'll rock and roll at it again really, really soon.
And Marcus,
muted,
I think
Marcus.
you're on mute, my friend.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's about time for me to start heating up with the coaching and all of that. Marcus Jr. has finished his season down, in Arizona with the OTE league, and to get him squared away to figure out what his next opportunity step is going to be. Now that's busy time about to kick in. So football is over. The NCAA basketball is over, and now the kids that's going over into college now is their time and their season. So pretty much never stops.
And we probably should pull Chris in before we close out. But Chris, how are we looking for our brackets? I'm probably near the bottom at this point, but I looked at my women's bracket today, and I think I did pretty good there. How about the rest of the brackets? Who are our leaders? Okay, I think there were several submissions.
Yep, there was. Let's look at the men's real quick. Let's bring this up to standings.
And will tomorrow night's game have an impact on any of those?
I think it will. I've got it right here. So Terry Nickpon, I think if UConn wins, Terry's going to win it. She's got a max of 148 points. It's pretty close, but then if Purdue wins, it looks like Jason will win. Trying to find yours. I'm scrolling for a long time. I don't know where you're at.
Killing me.
Look at that. I finished before you did. How bad is that? Yeah, you're not even on the first page.
Damn.
I know, right?
That's 750 entries.
He's not even on the first page. We do have a winner in the women's challenge. That was Bruce. I sent him an email just a little bit ago.
What? I didn't win the women's?
No. And Denny was awful close. Denny Ryan, he was only 3 points off.
Wow.
And John's a listener. Bill's a listener. There you go, Dave. You were 11th.
Wow.
You're on the first page on that one, Dave. There you go. That's
well, at least I'm on the first page.
That's right. Nice job. Well, I will tell you guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate this year. I appreciate what you guys have done here. And yeah, I'll line up some guests over the summer, and you guys are welcome to, if you got old teammates you want to bring on and shoot the shit, that'd be good too. So
I'm still working on that elusive.
Yeah, tell Jamal to answer your text message.
Floor general.
Well, and Marcus, this could be a really good season because this year or this next season will mark the 25th anniversary of that 99-2000 team. So
25 years.
25.
Man.
I think it would be a blast to get a bunch of you guys on a call like this and we rewatch a game or two. I think that would be a lot of fun. Probably be a lot of fun for you guys. It'd be a lot of fun for us as fans to listen in and hear you guys tell stories about those days.
Shit, 25 years ago. I don't know if we remember a lot of them.
Well, Brett, don't be laughing too much. We're coming up on 20 years for you.
Yeah. Nah, listen, I get it. That's why I'm laughing, because I can. I'm right there behind you. Shit. I'm knowing. Believe you me.
Yeah, I was watching the comedian Kev on stage. He said him and his wife were out, and she wanted a port, wine, and they brought a 1994 bottle. And she was like, "Why is this so expensive?" He was like, "It's vintage." She said, "How how's it vintage? He's like, it's from 1994, 30 years ago. She said, don't ever say that again. Don't ever say that, that 1994 was vintage. He's like, they all started laughing. He said, because to me, 1994 was 2 years ago.
Right.
You don't realize that it's been 30 years that fast.
Damn.
All right, so that's a wrap on this edition and this season for In the Side of the Storm. It's been an absolute joyride to go along with you, Marcus and Brent. I really appreciated being able to co-host with you two, and looking forward to next season already. Thanks for everyone for your jumping in and listening, and continue to like and subscribe and share through social media platforms. We certainly appreciate it. Again, please visit Revelton Distillery down in Osceola. Ask for them by name when you stop into Hy-Vee and your local grocery outlets. That's how businesses like Revelton can continue to help sponsor us and continue to grow. And Rob and Chrissy Taylor, they're doing it the right way, and they've got great products. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.